Okay, why go after a child? So, the TVA only brings you before their court when your existence is a major threat to the timeline. Loki taking the Tesseract and warping himself away from the Avengers instead of going to Asgard and being in prison broke the timeline, created a Nexus event. As a direct result, the TVA was sent in, they snatched up Loki, and then they brought him before the court for his crimes. But why bring Sylvie in front of the court for her crimes? She's only 9 years old. If anything, you would expect them to go after her when she's an adult, but they went after her when she was a child. Why? Because she breaks everything. Sylvie's existence breaks everything in the MCU. 1. Odin's original plan was for if Loki was a female, or if Loki had chosen to remain a female, or chosen to become a female, that she would marry Thor. The union of both Thor and Loki would have combined both of the royal houses of both Asgard and Jotunheim, and hopefully put an end to the war. A lot of people have probably forgotten this, but Loki is technically the prince and heir to Laufey, who is the king of Jotunheim. Next, because of Sylvie and Thor being married, Thor would have never ended up being banished. He would never went to Jotunheim to start a war. Thor not being banished means that Thor doesn't go to Earth. He never meets the Avengers. He never becomes their friends. The battle for New York never happens. The Avengers never form. Captain America comes back, but he doesn't have any interaction with Iron Man or the Hulk or Natasha. Well, he'd probably work with Natasha and Hawkeye, but S.H.I.E.L.D. would be its own entity off to the side. The Dark Elves. The Reality Stone, the Sludge, would still be on Earth. Let's say that Jane Foster still finds the Reality Stone. Well, she's not in a relationship with Thor. Thor doesn't take her to Asgard to get her investigated. The Dark Elves don't come to Asgard. Instead, they go to Earth. They start a war on Earth. Jane Foster dies. The Dark Elves obtain the Reality Stone. They turn out all of the suns. Let's say the Dark Elves don't do that. The Avengers don't form. Ultron is still created. Thor isn't there to assist the Avengers with defeating Ultron. Thor is also not there to assist the Avengers with defeating the end of Hydra. Because Thor never showed up and there was not in the first Avengers movie, there are no Avengers. You see where I'm going with this? Thanos shows up on Earth to get the Tesseract and Reality Stone. There are no Avengers to defend the Earth. Everything breaks because both of them are together. It's one of the reasons probably why the TVA showed up to arrest her and delete her and her timeline from existence. It's because it just keeps on fraying in these multiple different directions that they wouldn't be able to control. A pure cascade event of nothing but chaos. So yes, once they realized just how badly the timeline was going to diverge, because I have a feeling when we see Sylvie and she's playing with that boat in Asgard, it's right after Odin has taken both her and Thor into his treasure vault to see the Casket of Winters, like we see in the very first Thor movie. She's playing by herself right after that. They show up because she's dressed almost exactly as Loki was in the first Thor movie when he was a kid. They show up to delete her right after that, because after that event they saw just how badly the timeline she was about to create would completely fuck up the sacred timeline, and we're like, no, absolutely not. You've got to go. You've got to be deleted. It's one of the reasons why they were so gun-ho about deleting her timeline and getting rid of her. And it's fucked up. It's fucked up that your existence and the potential of you loving and bringing peace messes up somebody else's plans, and that's Kang. And as a direct result, they decide that no, you can't exist. Your existence would mean that somebody that we need, who we find important, would be killed and would be deleted. And as a direct result, you've got to go. I'm telling you, man, like as a comic book reader, as a partaker of Marvel's content, I fucking love these series. I didn't know how I was gonna feel about the Disney Plus Marvel series and the Marvel shows, but now that they're out, now that I'm watching them, absolutely fucking love them, because they allow me to sit down and just brainstorm the directions that the shows are gonna go. And sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm wrong, but damn, man, fucking Kevin Feige and Marvel, just keep up the good work, because I love this. Peace.